one? Because this is actually some serious shit.
Yeah, this is
cool. Welcome to TotalCast with your hosts, Alexander McKegg and Jason Rigby, where humanity steps into the future and source data defines the path.
It always helps when you cue the mics up.
Yes.
Just
we're not talking
away
yeah.
and it's just muted on camera, blah, 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 blah.
That would probably be our highest viewed video.
The one where we're not talking.
Yes.
People are like, those guys look like idiots.
Yeah, exactly.
Must be nice to be an idiot.
Yes, must be nice.
So this is an interesting article what we have here with data. So, it's not all about analysis. This is like an Elon Musk problem. Elon Musk is like, highways are two-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we three-dimensionalize highways to remove the traffic problem? Well, we also got to look at data. There's only so much information that can go through a pipe at once. You have to expand on how you can deal with the volume and then deal with the noise that comes from it. More cars on the highway means you got to have higher sound blockers, as you're going through Jersey because they build homes right on the highway.
Yeah.
Because there's no space. Stop living there.
But
Jersey's not fun to live in.
But isn't his alternative tunnels?
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like when, there's a more availability of something, what are the other effects that sit outside of it, right? So more volume, more noise. And that transitions over to what we're looking at with these fiber optic sensors. So what is it about them? Give me some.
Well, no, there was a new, there was in Science Daily, which I love. I get their newsletter, sciencedaily.com. Shout out. We don't. Yeah. They don't sponsor us or anything, but they had an article about new fiber optic sensors transmit data up to 100 times faster.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. We always say thing, but we never really think about that.
That's 100 times. Imagine if you walked 100 times faster.
Yes. Yeah.
If I walked 5 times faster, I'd be walking at 20 miles an hour.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I got huge legs. So I can probably speed walk at 3 or 4.
Yes.
Imagine me speed walking at 20 miles an hour. I'm not even running yet. If I was running, I was running 5 times faster, I'd be running at like, I don't know, close to 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, but think 100 times faster.
I'm walking at 400 miles an hour.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're breaking the sound barrier walking.
And the thing is like...
or when you would run, you
I'm going and there's like a cone around me, just a pressure cone. Just shattering car windows as I'm walking.
Exactly. Yeah. There was what was the one with Will Smith? There was a movie where he would do that, and he was like a disgruntled superhero.
Oh yeah,
remember that? And the cars were all.
It was a one name Hancock.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That was in there. He would just like cars would bust, and windows would shatter, and he just didn't give to. Yeah. So EPF engineers, they developed this advanced encoding and decoding system that allows fiber optic sensors to send data up to 100 times faster and over, this is what I thought was interesting, a wider area. Well, how did they did that? Well, what they talked about is there's these conventional sensors that take measurements at given points.
Yeah.
Like thermometers. So, you would put a thermometer in your mouth and you would take it at that given point. And then what they're doing is saying that you can take this and it'll take all across the whole tube, the fiber optic tube, it can read data all across. Instead of one at the end,
right,
or at the beginning, it can read it on a bunch of different touch points.
So let's. I guess we got to break that down to a little bit of metaphor here. In the oil and gas industry, and you'll see it out here in national parks where they shouldn't be. I'm going to be very Patagonia with that comment. Their pipelines have to be measured. And you got to make sure you don't have any leaks or there's no overpressurizations in certain areas. You got to measure flow rates. So all along their pipe has these sensors. The idea here is that with a fiber optic line, and fiber optics is this really, really clear piece of glass that's been stretched like a thin web, and it's flexible. It's flexible glass like you find on most phone screens. Like I have a phone that has flexible glass, and the idea is that light gets emitted through one end. There's a pulse, which represents a 0 and 1, okay, your binary data, and it's received on the other end. And what you want to do is you want it to move at the speed of light, right? But there's things that drag that down. It's a function of, what it's wrapped in, the quality of the glass. There's a lot of stuff that actually slow down a photon moving through a substance. It's propagation of light through a medium. That's the concept. Now, if we're looking at this, the question is, if if I'm sending it on one end and receiving on the other, like you said, I'm going to put these sensors like you find on a pipeline throughout this fiber optic line. And now as that sensor picks up on whatever it has to sense, I need it to pump light both ways.
Right.
So as the increase in data from all these sensors is increasing dramatically, now I need to cut through all the noise with all these signals that are coming out, and they're like overlaying one another. You know, if the Bose noise canceling headphones or Beats, you have one sine wave going out. And what happens is when you are met with that sine wave into your headphones from just ambient noise that's happening around you, there's another one that comes in and it has the pole, it's the inverse of it.
Right.
So you neutralize the sound wave coming in. And that's a lot of the problem when you have all these sensors on a fiber optic line. They're smashing into one another. So different waves and different resonances, right, depending on the strength of the signal, they can corrupt all that data. So how is it that you can give each sensor its own specific identification? So as it comes out, or a lot of things are happening like an earthquake, like if you're running the fiber optic line across land and you want to sense if there's a tremor, well, if it's all coming in at once, how do we decode all of those signals? It'll look like a mismatch, right? Like a bad symphony.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of what is going on here with the data. It's not the fact that it couldn't move 100 times faster. It's the fact that they can process it 100 times faster with a new algorithm that specifically identifies this wind instrument as from chair 1 to chair 7. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. They in the article, they talk about like the engineers that designed this. Shout out to Jiaxin Yang.
Yeah, it sounds like China. Is that China?
Yeah, that sounds like. And there was a Simon Zhao. So this is like a Polish name, I think.
Zaslowski?
Yeah, Zaslowski. They developed this new system of encoding and decoding data. But I like what they said. The engineers described their system as working like an echo. If you shout a single word, you hear the word back. Mm-hmm. But if you sing out a song, what you hear back is a blend of sounds that are hard to distinguish.
Or if you have 1,000 people yelling.
Yes, you would need a key to decipher the sounds and make them intelligible. Fiber optic sensors function in a similar manner, except that an instrument sends out light pulses rather than sounds, which is the same. I mean, if you look
light
at
and sound are the same thing.
Yeah.
If we understand our physics properly, both are a wave.
So if you think of it as like that echo going along that fiber, and then you're in that canyon, you're singing and you keep singing, then it gets like rambled. Yeah. If somebody's ever done that, the signals bounce back the fiber, and then the device decodes them, turning the signal into usable data through a key that they've developed.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't know what their algorithm looks like. But I'm going to take a best guess that they probably studied how sonar works with whales. Because you can actually tell a specific grouping of whales by listening to their symphony in the water. Yeah, and you can know how many whales it is.
I didn't know this. This is funny. They were talking about this yesterday. I was reading an article on this. Orcas have, because I love orcas, There's one right there. Yeah, and you got one on your cup.
Do you know my, some time ago, my high school, do you know what our mascot was?
It was an orca?
Yeah, it was a sea wolf.
Oh, that's cool.
The orca, yeah.
Yeah. So they actually have different, you know how we have like Southern dialect, like, it's like, hi, how you doing?
No,
you know that? The orcas have that. Depending on if they're in Seattle, orcas have they all have the same language.
Correct.
But New Zealand orcas, Seattle orcas, Alaska orcas, they all have a different style of dialect.
I love that.
Isn't that cool?
I think that's super cool.
I mean, they're either their brains are as responsive as or more, they said.
Yeah, and they're huge.
Yeah, exactly.
But not to get too sidetracked, but the idea, I haven't looked at their algorithm, but I'm assuming because they talked about genetic, what was the word here?
I liked the group the light pulses in a sequence so the signal bounced back with greater intensity. However, they didn't solve the echo problem.
Yeah, when it bounces back in sequence, that's when resonance of two things match one another. If you take one resonance and another and combine them, they actually doubles down on the power of that wave.
Yeah, and they talk about it here. So how they did it was the algorithm. The method employs special genetic optimization algorithms to cope with imperfections.
Yeah.
And he said other systems are limited with that. So
when they talk about genetic, it has that biological approach. So I would assume that the first place you go to study a mass of sounds is whale sounds.
Yes.
Because you can there's a lot of audio in the water. So if you're going to test on how that works, we'll just test it. The animals have perfected it. They can understand very well who's what in the water as they're swimming around because it's pitch black.
Yeah, and what I thought was really interesting.
I got an orca on my cup.
I know, yeah.
Is this just is this like an aquatic episode?
This is the sea wolf. I like how they named it sea wolf. We're gonna need sea wolf t-shirts.
I can get us some.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, well, you're going up there, right?
Yeah, I'll go grab us some.
Yeah, grab me. I want a sea wolf t-shirt. I would love an orca.
I can do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
No problem.
But what they said is instead of having to change everything out, and that this is them thinking ahead as engineers, they said that with their system, you just have to add a software program to your existing equipment.
Yeah. Well, a lot of technology that we have is inefficient in the fact of how we process it. Think about, AM and FM radio that come out 30s, 40s, maybe earlier. We've only perfected it so now you can get HD signals. The technology's been around forever, but that was a function of algorithm, output and receiving that we've changed. It wasn't that we were like boosting the signal. It's just like, no, how do we analyze those airwaves that are coming in? We've had all the technology. It's all been there. It's just the quality of how we, look at it and, retune it to get the most value out of it. And that's the value add. Don't redo your pipeline or redo your fiber optics. Just like, why don't we be efficient and just pull in this new algorithm?
And speaking of being efficient and pulling a new algorithm, if somebody, because it's TCAS, if somebody wanted to sign up for Turtle and start getting paid for their data,
they would go to turtle.co. And the data is always there. You just need an efficient way of retrieving it.
Right.
Well, the most efficient way to retrieve data from people is to go to turtle.co or retrieve data from businesses that are selling their information. That's all there. And it would take you less than 30 seconds to sign up and start to find those answers that you've been looking for.
From multiple touch points.
It's like a huge fiber optic line. It's a web.
Yes.
We have a web of connected. If the people are these fiber optic sensors,
yes,
we have a lot of them.
We have a lot of them,
and they're all talking to one another. So how are you going to read those interactions, those interplays?
That's why you have the software system.
Yeah, that's why you need a software system.
Picks out the echo.
It. Yeah, we're helping you pick out echoes all day long. Like a big whale.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I'm going to end it on that.
We're done.
Thank you for listening to TotalCast with your hosts Alexander McKegg and Jason Rigby, where humanity steps into the future and source data defines the path. What's your data worth?